the way it just came in like a hurricane, and just took away so many people, engulfed so many people, and took them away forever. And thinking about that crisis of COVID itself, imagining how many people that COVID took, probably who were on the verge of preparing their wills, or who probably thought they had time, they will get to this stuff later. And then here was COVID-19 engulfed and took them away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was mentioning that there were several cases during the time that I was following, and there were actually people who were sick, whether they came down with COVID and had to have extended hospital stays, which we also saw. So we're talking about before the person even passed away, the person is still living, but they're no longer able to care for themselves. They're now incapacitated. And because they didn't have things set up properly, like a power of attorney or a healthcare power of attorney, some people might say, they had to go to court over what was going to happen to the person. Even though the person is still alive, they're just hospitalized. But there were several cases, one out in Texas I know for sure, but several more, where there's a spouse fighting with another family member. So maybe the spouse wants to keep them alive, but the family member wants to, say pull the plug. Well, that's something that you can internalize. That's something you can document. And, you can have your wishes as to what you want to do. And you can direct who you want to make that decision for you. But that wasn't done in several cases. These are just two that I remember following. This is across the nation, so I'm sure there are, thousands more. So basically there's just this, on top of just the everyday life that we go through, on top of this global pandemic that's emerging, we now have, family members fighting over who's going to do what, who's going to prolong this life that is still here, but just has no more say over what they can do because they're incapacitated. That happens often. And, there are really a lot of times where there has to go to court for what's called a guardianship, where somebody can be appointed to make that decision. But again, that's something that can be simply handled by doing some legal work on the front end. And so I think that people just maybe take it for granted or think that it'll never have to come to that point, and they don't want to. And some people just get scared. They don't want to think about those kind of grim terms, but it's just the reality of life. Nothing's always going to be rosy, but it doesn't mean that it has to be so bad, and you have to wait for it to get so bad before you can finally do something.